This morning I woke up. I read the expiration date on the milk for my cereal. I read the newspaper, and I was pleased to see that the annual Conference on World Affairs is just around the corner. I read the email that was sitting in my inbox, and I reread my presentation for this evening. I read, and I read, and I read. For you and me, reading is like breathing. Though we hardly think about it, we can't live without it. From opening a bank account, to reading the warning label on a prescription drug bottle, to finding a street address, our ability to read and write is necessary for us to function in society. But even more than that, our ability to read and write has shaped who we are. Who would you be right now if you couldn't read or write a single word? Imagine for just a moment all of the years of education that you've received gone. All of the moral and philosophical teachings that you've gathered from great thinkers from centuries ago, gone. All those far-flung places, real and imagined, that authors have taken you, gone. All those moments of, wow, I had no idea that was possible, gone. The work that you do that gives your life a sense of purpose, gone. With all of that stripped away, who are you? Now, take that diminished version of yourself and multiply it by 700 million, because every day, nearly 1 billion people wake up around the world unable to read and write. Their illiteracy shrinks a world of possibility down to an existence narrowly defined by what's in their immediate environment. Their work is often limited to back-breaking manual labor, and their incomes are similarly limited. Their understanding of healthcare is limited to oral tradition, and modern technology, education, and information are out of reach. In developing countries the world over, a hard life is made even harder by the inability to read and write. These individuals are cheated of opportunity, and the rest of the world is cheated of their contributions. 6 years ago, I founded Reading Village in order to try to change this reality for children in Guatemala. At first, the work was about youth, inspired to read, equipped with that ability to see and achieve their full potential. I focused on literacy because literacy is not only an end in and of itself, it is also the means to other ends, such as economic self-sufficiency, political voice, good health. In my study of literacy efforts in Guatemala, I saw that where an adult was reading to children, those children were developing a love of reading and also an ability to read. And this, I found, was backed by research. After analyzing 10,000 studies on the development of literacy, the U.S. Department of Education concluded this: the single most important activity in developing the knowledge required for success in reading is reading aloud to children. Not phonics, not baby Einstein, reading aloud to children. In mostly illiterate communities, where only 1 in 10 children makes it to the 9th grade, Reading Village provides scholarships to Mayan teenagers so that they can complete high school. They also receive from us training in leadership and reading promotion skills. And these teens develop these skills by reading aloud to the younger children in their communities. In and out of school, at home, and in public spaces, one generation of leaders is creating another generation of readers. And the results have been thrilling. Immediately, we saw a love of reading developing in the children. We saw this not only in their unbridled enthusiasm in story hour, but we also saw this in their actively seeking out books outside of story hour. Children started showing up at the storage space where the teens kept the storybooks, hoping to be able to see one. They started calling out to their reading promoters in the village whenever they saw them. Laura, Laura, read me a story. Our newest employee at that time was shocked by this. He's a native to the area, and he said to me, Linda, many times I have seen children beg for food, and many times I have seen children beg for money, but never have I seen children beg for books. Evidence of our success is in those bright faces. Most of us remember this experience in our own childhoods and have seen it in our children. And we know that those sparkling eyes are not just about joy in the moment. They are about igniting a mind. There is a sense of wonder and discovery that is born between the pages of a storybook. And that fuels our desire to read, to learn, and to imagine all kinds of possibilities for our lives. The least literate, most invisible children in one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere, reading. This was the end game for Reading Village, and we were achieving it. And we could have thrown all of our resources at that and called it good because that was the plan. And it would have been a huge game changer in the lives of those children. But I'm here today to tell you that if predictable outcomes are the only thing we're paying attention to, then we may very well walk right by the real success factors without even knowing it. As it turns out, many of the surprises that we encountered on our path towards literacy in Guatemala turned out to be the most important moments of success our organization has had. And we couldn't have planned for that. I, for one, am still reveling in one of those moments that was so unexpected that it has transformed the way that our organization defines success. The bar has been raised. 2 years ago, I was in Guatemala, and Danielle Guzman, our program coordinator, had just finished a workshop for our teens. We had gotten out of our chairs and were gathering our things, preparing to leave, when I sensed a sudden hush in the room. I looked and saw that several of the teens had gathered around Danielle, and it looked serious. My heart started beating rapidly. Every teen in the room seemed to know what was going on. And Danielle said to me, "They have something to tell us." My God, I thought, what could it be? Have we irreparably offended the community in some way? Are all the teens quitting the program? Is someone deathly ill? Our progress was fragile, and I feared the worst. We all sat back down, and the room was silent, except for the beating of my heart, which I'm sure could have been heard pounding outside of my heart or outside of my body. The kids gave knowing looks at each other around the circle, deciding who would deliver the news. And then finally, Marcella spoke up, and she informed us. We have formed a Citizens Action Committee. Julio Cesar has been elected president. I am vice president, and she named the others and their roles. We have formed this committee to open the first ever public library in Concepcion. I was shocked and thrilled and relieved and emotionally overwhelmed all in an instant. Remember, we're talking about 14 and 16-year-old students here who just 2 years prior were prepared to eke out a living planting and harvesting onions, now telling us that they were taking the initiative to essentially lead their community out of poverty. None of our carefully planned outcomes included teens will decide to open a library in year 2 of the program. It was unimaginable and unforeseeable. Such is the nature of human systems. They're complex, nonlinear. They have tipping points. One supporter or one critic can drastically change the trajectory of our work. One subgroup is impacted more than another. There are feedback loops in play. All of this to say that certain outcomes are unpredictable, uncontrollable, and unknowable. So what do you do when those interesting, sometimes subtle, sometimes screaming events that you neither predicted nor imagined arise in your work? In this moment, we have a choice. Some international development organizations plow right past these unexpected developments in their hurry to scale up their program as they've designed it. Others fail to take notice at all because they're looking only for the outcomes that their carefully laid out plan has predicted. At Reading Village, we stop and reflect. We teach our board, our staff, and our teen scholars to inquire into these unexpected developments, like this library, to see what they have to teach us. Embedded into the DNA of our organization is the instinct to ask these 4 questions. What's emerging that we've never seen before? Why is it important or interesting? Where did it come from? And how does it impact the way we go forward? These 4 questions keep us grounded in reality, which is critical because when you're working in complex and constantly changing systems such as ours, your definition of success cannot remain static. When we first went to Guatemala, it was our intention to use literacy as a tool to help children reach their potential, to transform the lives of individuals. Now we see that literacy combined with leadership development has the potential to transform entire communities. Here's the most important thing that I've learned. There is something profoundly beautiful and powerful and messy in a really creative and fun way about the unfolding of human potential. And our plans and goals and measures, useful as they may be, are no match for that. In January, we flew down to Guatemala to witness the opening of the Concepcion Library. The town council had donated the space, parents had donated paint and chairs, and the teens had held a raffle to stock the shelves of their library. I have grown to love surprises.